All right, we are live. Thank you so much for taking out some time again.
Yeah,
Uh,
man. Thanks for having me.
you know it, brother, definitely. So let's talk a little bit about Satanic Hispanics, right?
Yeah.
I guess how did you get involved with this film? How did that come about?
Well, I was tricked into it.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, I'm just kidding. I mean, I love doing, anthologies are fun, but sometimes, it depends on, which ones you do. Sometimes they're great, sometimes, not so great. But I love the anthologies because, you get a chance to do something that you don't usually do. Get a chance to do, with the studios and especially with me, like doing, a lot of television stuff. Like I never get a chance to just do something really stupid and goofy. So Alejandro Brugues and Mike Mendez were like the original producers, and Mike was, he had this idea for a span, an anthology with Latino filmmakers. And Alejandro was like, "Oh, we can get Ed." So I think I was the first one they got, and they were like, "We're doing this anthology." And I take things like I'm kind of a lazy dude, so I don't really like to put too much more, and I already have so much on my plate, so I was kind of hesitant a little bit, but I love the guy, so I was like, "Yeah." And then they told me like, "Oh, it's called Satanic Hispanics," and I was like, "All right, I'm in, man." So that's how I got in. And then, like with all anthologies, you're just like kind of stressing because they got some, Gigi Saul Guerrero, and they got Damian Rugna. I mean, they had, and Mike and Alejandro, they're really good filmmakers. So I was like, "Oh, I gotta, you gotta bring your A game to these anthologies." So but it was good. And you know, uh, like all kind of low budget things, you're like, you're always on the precipice of whether you're going to do it or not. And but then, the money came through and they started shooting, and I was kind of like, I was like, all right, we'll get to do this, and it was a lot of fun.
So your segment is called the Vampire, right?
El Vampiro, yeah.
Yeah, and Vampiro. So um I guess tell us a little bit about that.
Mhm.
And I guess, what you enjoyed most about shooting it?
Um, it was this, again, I was like looking for ideas, and this idea came across into my inbox among a bunch of other ideas, and I was just like, wow, that's cool. The idea of like, a vampire, because my short is basically a vampire who's out on Halloween, and he gets to like, this is his one night out where he kind of can go and dress like a vampire and nobody says anything to him. And he it's daylight savings time, so he miscalculates, and he realizes too late that he has an hour less to get home, before the sun comes up. And then his wife of like, 150 years or whatever calls him, and he's like, "Where are?" She's like, "Where are you?" So it's kind of like this little, it's a definitely a funny little film about, just kind of misinterpreting daylight savings, and it was like, I was a huge fan of Hemke Madera. We worked on Queen of the South together, and we became friends. And I knew he had great comic, timing, like really good comedy chops. And he's not usually able to like fully expand on those, comedy chops. So I was like, I gotta send this to him, and I sent it to him. I said, "Dude, you want to play like a vampire that gets, get in trouble because of daylight savings?" And he was like, "I'm in." And so he was cool, and he brought in Patricia, who played his wife, and they had such great chemistry. And I'd never worked with Patricia, but I was like, "Yeah, man, let's do it." And they knew each other, and I think that the end of I like a lot of people tell me that the end of the movie of my segment gets kind of sentimental and kind of touching in a weird. It's kind of sweet, which you don't expect in like this kind of horror movie.
Sure.
And it's all them, it's basically them. Like they knew each other, and they had they act, they were like, there was real love there, you know what I mean, I think. And it kind of transferred itself onto the film event, luckily. But it was, I mean, the fun part was working with Hemke because we never get to work in this way, it's always some, on the set, and it's more official, and you don't get much time to hang out and stuff. But so that was fun. But I was, it was a very stressful situation because the low budget. We were shooting here in Frederick. I had kind of invited everybody to kind of be a part of it. So I was like very nervous to like let people down, like I was like, man, I got to make a good short or else I'm, so there was a lot of pressure, but in the end you look back and you kind of forget the heartache and you just remember like the good times, hopefully.
Of course.
So it luckily, I think the all the segments are playing well, and it's a good anthology film, and proud to be a part of it.
That's awesome, man. I love it. And so you're no stranger to the horror genre, What
Yeah.
keeps you coming back to this genre?
Um, I mean, really, what keeps me coming back is the fact that, like, I'm known as a horror filmmaker, so it's kind of like that's pretty much all people send me is horror stuff, which is cool because the great thing about the horror genre and why I kind of stay in the lane as much as I can is that there is a lot of variation in the horror genre, like like what I did with even Satanic Hispanics, like it has like a real, like the first one is like a real kind of creepy horror movie, and then mine comes in and it's just a goofball action comedy, kind of just kind of dumb, and then the next one has these kind of creepy and political themes, and so he goes from serious to to just completely comic, and that's what I love about the horror genre is that you have action horror and dramatic horror and all kinds of things in between, and I really love the kind of the flexibility that it gives you. But and again, I really do like the horror genre. I think that there's like it's like a real it's a really interesting kind of genre because like you have to, and I'm not saying that you don't have to do this in other genres, but in horror especially, you have to kind of reinvent everything every time because once people know a style, they're like, okay, the cat's going to come out, and
Right, right, right.
everybody knows all that, and there's so many great horror filmmakers making movies right now, and so it's definitely a challenge to kind of try to figure out something that gets under people's skin, and so I love that challenge, but it is stressful, and but again, I'm kind of in it, and I get enough like non-horror stuff through my TV work, where I do dramas and procedurals, and you do all kinds of stuff that kind of like keeps your chops developing. But and then I can bring it back to the horror genre whenever I can.
I love it. Yeah, I was gonna bring up some of the TV work. You've been doing quite a few of TV recently,
Yeah.
like Charmed, CSI Vegas, FBI. What do you enjoy most about that, and how do you feel that it differs?
Well, going from indie film where you have no money and you're going 100 miles an hour into episodic is not much different, at least like stress wise and pace wise, like all the episodic I've done, I mean, pretty much like 90% of it is all like run and gun. Like you're just like, as soon as you finish, you got to start with the next thing, and you have to start thinking about the next thing while you're doing the thing that you're working on. So there's never enough time. There's few shows where you have like short days and you can kind of do that sometimes on some of the shows, but most of the time the writers are just trying to pack as much stuff into the episode as possible. So that's it does really tie itself well to like indie cinema. Like a lot of people think that big um money like big budget television is less stressful because the schedule is like more, you get more days, but no, you have more days, but you also have a lot more stuff to shoot, and you're always like under you're always stressed out about making your day. So to me it came very natural to just kind of I've my whole career has basically been kind of just running and gunning and trying to get stuff done as quickly as possible and trying to be creative and collaborative but also get the job done. um and and I really enjoy it because it's like it's so much the other than like the the stress of making the day. It's very much, it's different than like low budget filmmaking because you have a lot of the crew is 150 people, and you have complete departments, and you can like really ask for stuff, like they can actually build stuff and they can build sets, and you have a lot more resources. It depends on what show you're doing.
Sure.
um and so so there is like, there's a lot of differences, and also like I love the fact that like you can come in, you're basically done in a month. You shoot, you prep for like a couple of weeks, you shoot for a couple of weeks, and then you edit for a few days, and you're done. And then you can move on to the next thing. With indie film, as it's like you spend years, dealing with investors, and just distribution, and accounting, and contracts and all that crap. So it's it's a much easier thing, just to kind of get away. And also I have a lot of fun. Like I love the challenge of like coming into um a place where like I don't know anybody. Usually I don't know anybody. Now I've like worked enough where like there's probably usually always somebody that I know that I've worked with before. But um I love like meeting new people, and I love like the collaboration, and I love like the crew, like inspires me. Like I've been in this business for 25 years now, and I sometimes I like take things for granted, and I'm like, this, whatever, I don't want to do this, whatever. But then you meet people, and you realize like, man, these people are like doing it, and they like love it, and they're like working these long hours, but they're still coming, and they bring their A game. And I love like that, that kind of camaraderie, and just kind of, it energizes me, what I'm saying? So, and I haven't, like, right now I'm like, I haven't worked since February, and I'm like just itching to get back, to get
Sure.
back in there and get into that thing, and just make something with creatives. And um I definitely miss it.
That's wild, man. One of the shows that in particular that jumped out at me was you worked on Star Trek, Strange New Worlds.
Yeah,
How was that
that was,
experience? Because I'm a big
I
Star
mean, dude,
Trek fan.
yeah, well, me too, man. I mean, it's weird because like when I'm a big Star Trek fan, definitely the original series.
Oh yeah,
And I had never really like gotten into the other series. Like I, not because of lack of interest, but just lack of opportunity. Um like I remember I would watch, Next Generation whenever I could, and I always enjoyed it, but I never got around to like watching everything. I never watched Deep Space Nine, or just any of the other ones, Enterprise or anything. So during when COVID hit, I was like, man, I'm just gonna sit and watch all the Star Trek episodes in chronological order, like
it's amazing.
chronologically, star date wise. And it's like almost 900 episodes now,
It's a
and
lot.
everything, the TV, the original, the cartoon, Enterprise, everything, and I really enjoyed it. I really like loved, and I'm still like, now I'm on season 3. I just finished Picard. I'm doing season 3 of Discovery. Those are the last ones in the
Sure,
in
right.
chronological order. And I just love Star Trek, man. It like, it just feels like I love Star Wars and Star Trek, and Star Trek just feels like home to me.
Sure.
And so that when I got a chance to do this, I was just like, you know, just completely, just crazy, like just so excited. And it was like a dream come true, man. Like it definitely like, everybody, I love Strange New Worlds. I love like that it has that like, original series vibe to it. I think my episode especially was very much, it felt like an old school Star Trek episode. And I, even some of the stuff, like some of the planet exteriors that we shot on the Volume, which is that, really fancy um
Sure.
big TV thing that you
Yeah,
can,
yeah.
that Mandalorian uses it, and it's really fucking
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah, yeah,
It's really
yeah.
cool. Just like, like some of it just, it looks really amazing, but it does have a little bit of a kind of a sound stagey look, which I love. And I
Sure.
think in my episode it like really fit well. um and other times it's, like it's indistinguishable. Sometimes you're like, man, this, it looks like they're standing in the middle of nowhere, like in this, it's amazing technology.
Right.
um but I just, and I loved like working with all the actors, and got to know some of them. And I was part of season 2, but season 1 hadn't come out yet while we were shooting. And so everybody had a little bit of a taste, from Discovery. Like some of the characters had come, had done their little bits in Discovery. Um, but I remember talking to Ethan about like the, guy who plays Spock, and I'm like, dude, do you understand what's about to happen to your life when these things start airing, you know what I mean? So, and he's really good guy, and everybody was very cool. And it was just, and then going on shooting on the bridge of the Enterprise, like
Oh, it's so
it,
cool.
it's just amazing, dude. Like I there's a scene where um Ortegas, who's the navigator, um is having some weird episode, and Uhura is taking her to the sick bay, and they go into the turbo shaft, to the turbo lift, and we're rehearsing it, and we're like blocking it. All right, cut. And then the the actors that they were like, well, we're like, well, you have to go and actually, on Star Trek, you have to touch the thing. Remember in the old Enterprise, you had to
Right.
touch the little thing and then tell it where you're going,
Sure.
And we were like, the AD were like, no, well, you got to go in there and you got to touch, and she didn't know, what I'm saying? And and I was just like, that's freaking amazing that, first of all, I'm getting to do a scene where people are coming in and out of the turbo lift, which is, like the classic Star Trek thing,
Oh
how
man.
many times have we seen Kirk and, Spock and, people coming in and out of that turbo lift. And, so it was like, and it was just an amazing moment for me where I'm like, man, we are like telling this character to how to use the turbo lift. Like that's kind of an amazing thing, you know what I mean? And it's super geeky, I know, but it's like it was just one of these things where like you have to kind of sit back and kind of pinch yourself and just thank whatever you believe in, that just thank the maker for the filmmaker in the sky for giving you this opportunity to work on this show, and it was just cool, man. It was super cool.
That's awesome, man. I love it. That's super cool. Super cool. So, all right. So I got one more. Next year is the 25th anniversary of Blair Witch Project
Yeah.
coming around. That's coming. I can't believe it's 25 years. I remember seeing it at the Angelica Film Center in New York City. And
Were you one of the, so you were there like the first couple days?
oh yeah, no, I saw it like when everyone thought it was, still real. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
And
that Angelica's where it started. Like it
yeah.
ran there exclusively for like 3 days.
Oh
So
yeah, dude. I was there first day or the second
nice.
day, right around there. So,
Yeah.
anything special planned for 25? Anything, in the works or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really talk too much about it.
That's cool though.
And it's a weird thing because it's like it's it's not directly through Lionsgate. Like there's another company that's producing like a 25th anniversary, Blu-ray, DVD, and this kind of um and but we're really excited about it because like they're we're going back to the original masters of the movie,
Oh wow.
um and taking the video off of the actual DV tapes that we shot the movie with, which is only because it's a kind of a complicated thing with Blair Witch, because Blair Witch. So we took the shot on high 8 and in 16 millimeter, but we got everything. We got the 60 millimeter transferred to video, and then um we had the high 8 we just transferred right into the Media 100 or the Avid, whatever the hell we were editing at the time. So the movie plays like a home movie. Like it has that video quality to it that looks like a camcorder.
Right.
And this was the first, this is how we lived with this movie until Sundance. And Sundance 1999 was you couldn't show a movie digitally. Like they didn't have, I don't know what, they had a rule or whatever, but you had to make a print of your movie. So we just had, we did a thing called, it's a film transfer where it actually cost more than the movie cost to make. It was like $35,000, and you transfer a video frame by frame to a 35 millimeter print or negative, and then they strike prints. So
Right.
we had this print to go to Sundance, and then later on, the artists, and when they went to release the movie, that's exactly what they did. They transferred all the video again to the negative. So you and then when they went to video, they didn't go back to video. They just transferred the negative that was in the theater. So that's why Blair Witch has this weird kind of, it's not film, it's not video. It has this weird thing, and I think part of it is that's kind of the charm of it. I think, but
Sure.
it's not the way we shot the movie. So this DVD and Blu-ray is gonna, for the first time ever, is gonna have the movie shot, projected or shown in the actual format it was shot in.
Oh, dude.
And they're going back and like, we're transferring everything again, to 8K or 4K or whatever it is, the highest thing they got. And we're going to try to put as many extras as possible on it. And there's also a making of documentary that we're working on. So it's going to be like the kind of the whole package, hopefully.
Oh,
And
man.
we've gotten some really good, our partners are really, cool and very respectful. And it's, there's like, when you're dealing with studios, like, big studios like Lionsgate and stuff, sometimes, you're like, you don't feel like a lot of it is just like, see, it feels like a business transaction. Everything feels like a business transaction. And I think this is like, really feels like these people are like real fans.
Right.
And they're almost like, instead of business people, like they're almost like historians, um like they want to like restore the footage, and they want to make something that's like gonna last. Like they want to make they want to do the definitive version,
Oh,
of the release. And it's cool. And we've, I mean, who knows? I mean, I think we, Lionsgate should do like a little, limited 25th anniversary screening in the theaters. I think people would go see it,
I would.
especially this new version, which is like, for now, we can actually show the real video version of Blair Witch. But I don't know. I mean, it's like one of those things where like they haven't approached us about it, and we're kind of like, you know, do we really want to like tell these people how to run their business? You know what I mean? It's like, what I'm saying? Like there's this kind of frustration sometimes where like, you're just like, why wouldn't you do this? Like they're doing it to every other movie. Like why wouldn't you be planning to do like a little 25th limited theatrical run to one of the, like classic movies, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And
yeah.
again, it's like, I don't know. It's so we'll see what happens, but we're pretty excited about the home video release
Oh, man.
of the Blair Witch. So we'll see. And they'll announce it soon, and you guys will, everybody will be like, oh, okay, it's those guys that are doing it. Like
Sure.
they're very reputable, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So
man. That's awesome. Well,
yeah.
thanks for the tip. I appreciate it. I can't wait for that, man. And, hopefully we can chat again soon down the line. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Yeah, I'm doing like, especially during the strike, I started before the strike, but the strike really kind of like let me spend more time on it. But I'm producing these like really low budget horror movies here in Frederick.
Oh, it's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, we're about to release our first one called The Jester on October 3rd. It's a good little horror film, and I really do love doing these like smaller films with like new filmmakers and giving people opportunities, and kind of, even though it's a nightmare making movies for such a low budget, but like so I'm trying to stay busy, and got some other stuff going on. So yeah, let's talk again soon, man.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Sure, man. Thanks.